Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for visiting me today. My layout today is for the challenge over at Off the Rails Scrapbooking. The theme for the month is beach. I didn't have any beach photos that I wanted to scrap, so I'm just using these ones of water. Seeing as how it's beach, I wanted to use this sun cut file. I altered the cut file so that I would have a white frame that would go around the outside of the cut file. I had planned on cutting it twice so that I had a different colour in the middle, but I changed my mind. I'm going to use this Amy Tangerine Yes Please paper pad, and I have used it before, so I haven't got the full range in there, but I figured I've got enough to get a nice bright layout for the beach theme. So when I decided to use the white cut file and colour that using some mediums, I put a coat of white gesso all over the whole piece of cardstock. In the end, this probably wasn't such a great idea. I wanted to have a nice bright sun with the white frame around it, so I'm using the Dylusions ink sprays in lemon zest and squeezed orange. So I'm putting the lemon zest all over the whole piece, and then I'm just going to put the squeezed orange in the centre part and sort of coming out onto part of the rays. This is where the disappointment came in with the gesso. I found that the gesso muted the colours. So I let this dry naturally, and this is what I ended up with, very pale colour. So I tried again, giving it another coat, putting on very heavily, and I've got more colour, but probably not really as bright as I wanted, but acceptable. So I've put that aside to dry, and now I'm going to start work on my layout, the rest of the layout. So I've chosen one of the grey coloured backgrounds from the pad, and I'm going to trim the top branding strip off of that, and that is going to be my background. I cut 2 half-inch strips of a plain orange cardstock and 2 half-inch strips of a turquoisey blue coloured cardstock as well. I also cut this Whyalla. I've cut it in pattern paper for the letters and white cardstock for the shadow. I'm going to ink around the edges of all of these elements. I'm going to do that using my black ink cube. I'll also do the sunburst as well. I use my art glitter glue to layer those strips of cardstock, so I'm putting the blue cardstock on top of the orange. I'm running a little bead of glue along the edge of the orange, and then I'm laying the blue on top of it, leaving about, or maybe, I don't know, less than a quarter, just over 1/8 of an inch of the orange poking out under the blue. I'm doing that with both strips. One of these strips will be attached to the top of the layout, and one will be attached to the bottom of the layout. Next, I'm going to attach my pattern paper letters to my white shadow cut file. On now to my sun cut file. Now, I've made a big mistake with this, and just a warning, if you decide to do something like this where you've got just a frame happening, attach your main body of your file first and then your frame. I went ahead and attached this frame to my layout using glue. I should have put the yellow piece down first, because when I come to put that yellow piece on, it doesn't fit perfectly into the file, because the file's so flimsy and moves around so easily. It's very easy to get it out of place, so it doesn't sit exactly where it should sit. So be warned, use your bulk or your most stable piece first. I used my T-ruler to make sure that I got it nice and straight along the bottom. Once I had my frame in place, I attached the yellow sun, and as I said, it didn't fit properly, but I think I can disguise that with my embellishments and photos. I got out of it this time, a bit lucky. I was a bit heavy-handed with the black ink edging on some of these areas, so I used my mono sand eraser to erase the pieces I didn't want there any longer. I've trimmed my photos down. One photo is 3 inches by 2 3/4 inches by 6 inches, and the other one is 3 inches by 4 inches. So I'm going to cut some photo mats out of the same orange that I used in the strips at the top and the bottom. I'm going to cut them so that they're 1/4 inch bigger than my photo, so that would make them 3 inches by 6 1/4 and 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and that's what I'm going to use to mat my photos. I used an emery board and filed around the photos so that they had that nice fine white border around them, and then attached them to the mat. On the smaller photo, I attached some chipboard to the back of it because I wanted that to stand up from the layout of fraction, and now I'm going to go ahead and attach them to my layout using double-sided tape. I put my Whyalla roughly in place so that I know I've got room for it once I've stuck my photos down. Otherwise I'd have to lift my photos so that I could fit my title on. I used my T-ruler to make sure I got that larger photo nice and straight along the bottom too. Time now to go ahead and attach my title. I'm going to do that using hot glitter glue. Once again, I'm trying to make sure I get it nice and straight. For the second part of my title, Marina, I'm using these Uniquely Creative Black Alphas stickers, and I'm just going to attach those to the page underneath the Whyalla. Starting where the Y comes down, I'll put it in, nested in there. Originally my plan was to stitch around the yellow section of the sun, but in my haste I forgot about it, and now I'm going to use my black fine pen. And I'm just going to draw some faux stitching around the edge of the sun. I'm also going to continue that on and do some faux stitching around the title as well. I also put the stitching across the top and bottom of the layout. To embellish the layout, I cut a camera from the pattern paper and a little doily sort of thing. I also cut 2 strips of pattern paper, and I had some white burlap type ribbon, and I cut some small strips of that. So I'm putting a little cluster up in the top right hand of the layout. I'm doing a little bit of burlap, a little strip of yellow stripe, a little bit of turquoise on top of that, and then a red punched heart. Down on the other, like on the right hand side near the bottom of the photo of the dolphins, I'm going to attach a little bit of that burlap ribbon and a camera that I fussy cut from the paper and a little green mat for it. I also added the faux stitching to these new elements. Well, that's it for my layout for today. Thank you for being here with me. If you're not already a subscriber, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you're notified when I upload my next video. Once again, thanks for being here, and I hope that you can join me for my next video.